Welcome back. You're still tuned in to Power Breakfast here on CNBC-TV18. We now have our research team joining in with what the trade setup looks like, the stocks that are likely to be in the news, and the action from the F&O space as well. Hey guys, a very good morning to all of you. Rima, let me come across to you first up. There's been a recovery in last two trading sessions, but what is today looking like?
Well, today could be a better session. In fact, the, bulls are trying to, claw back some kind of they hold on the market. So Friday was a good session for our markets. Yesterday, if you remember, we started off lower due to the global jitters, but in the first 1-2 hours only markets climbed up, and then it was a steady session, and finally the Nifty recovered 200 points from the day's low to close at that 19,140 mark. The resistance from here on will be seen around 19,250, 19,300, which has acted as the big support as the markets were falling. So we had held on to these levels for quite a while, and now this 19,300 will act as a bit of a resistance on the way up. Global markets are fairly upbeat, as you pointed out. US markets ending with gains of 1 to 1.5%. Crude prices have declined further to $88 per barrel on easing fears of a wider Middle East conflict. The big cues today will be earnings from Bharti, L&T, Tata Consumer, and there are many in outside of the Nifty. The big Fed decision is tomorrow. In terms of flows, we had the DII's net buying 1,328 crore, while the FI's net sold 1,761 crore. But the focus is going to be on individual stocks. But broadly, it looks like the markets could try and climb and cover some more ground on the way up. Back to you.
Okay, all right. So that's what the GIFT Nifty is implying as well. Thank you, Rima, for all those cues. But a lot of stocks that'll be on our radar as well. Surbi is joining us with that list. Hey, Surbi, good morning.
Good morning. So I have a few earnings on my list today. The first one, Marico. It was a mild beat when compared to the poll. The revenues came in at 2476 crores, EBITDA at 497 crores, and margins at 20.1%. APL Apollo pretty much in-line set of numbers. Revenue at 4630 crores, EBITDA at 325 crores, and PAT at 208 crores. TVS Motors, it was a strong set of numbers. Revenues up 13%, EBITDA up 22%, and margins at 11%. Blue Star, strong set of numbers. Revenue up 20%, EBITDA up 43%, and PAT up 66%. DLF, it was a decent set. It was the highest ever collections at 2359 crores. The surplus cash flows was highest ever at 1147 crores, and it was a net cash positive quarter at 142 crores. Castrol for Q3 of calendar 2023, revenues were up 6%, EBITDA was up 4%, and margins at 23%. We'll also be tracking Butterfly, Gandhimati, and Crompton, as this is in regards with the scheme of amalgamation with Butterfly. They did not receive an approval of majority public shareholders of Butterfly, and which is why the scheme will not be acted upon. There will be some other companies on our radar which may react on the back of earnings, which is GMR Airports, Gokuldas Exports, and Spandana Spurti.
Okay, that is a long list. That's been the case nowadays. Thank you, Surbi, for joining us. But let's talk about the action from the F&O space. Nigel is joining us now. Hey, Nigel, morning.
Well, morning, Sonal. Yesterday, we ended in the green, but the problem was the broader markets were actually underperforming. And as we had mentioned earlier as well, the gains yesterday were skewed because of HDFC Bank as well as Reliance Industries. So today, you'll want the breadth of the market at least to catch up, because otherwise portfolios don't feel so good. What do the FIs do? Well, we were talking about them being net short, and that's not such a bad thing. I'll tell you what, we have bumped up close to around 300 points, and they haven't covered any shorts. So the short position continues at around 1.55 lakh contracts on the short side, and in percentage terms, it's close to around 88%. Pull up a couple of active strikes then yesterday, the 19,000 put, but that was fairly active. The premium ended at around 34 rupees, but it started the day closer at around 75 rupees approximately. So there were some signs of writing out there. You plug in that number, 19,000 put getting written. The lows of the last two sessions are closer to around 18,920, 18,930 odd. So 18,900, that becomes the first level of support. Resistance, well, you look at around 19,250 to 19,300. I'll tell you what, I think the bears are going to fight to defend that level. The recent low as well, that becomes another line in the sand out there. The Nifty Bank, that's been coming back in style. And yesterday as well, it popped up big time from the day's low. Now it's hovering around the 200 EMA, and you'll want it to cross that mark. Try to make its way back to around 44,000 odd mark. Today, we'll have to keep an eye on the Nifty Financial Services Index, because that's what plays out the weekly expiry. So the Nifty Bank as well as the Nifty Financial Services will be in focus. For starters, I think we start off in the green, but we need to build on from here. And in that context, today's session is very, very crucial, because volumes have been lagging. In fact, the start is going to be more or less flattish. Volumes have been lagging, but in fact, we are up close to 300 points. So let's see whether or not the bulls can build onto this and in fact take us towards the resistance zone of 19,250. Back to you.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for joining us, Nigel, Surbhi and Reema, and prepping us up for this trading day ahead. Up next, we'll get you all the cues from the commodity markets. But as we slip into a break, here's some exciting news. You can now find CNBC TV18 on WhatsApp, the best of market, business, economy and global news truly at your fingertips. You can add the CNBC TV18 channel on WhatsApp by following a few simple steps. Firstly, make sure you have the latest version of WhatsApp. Go to the App Store or Play Store to make sure your WhatsApp is updated. Then go to Updates. You will find a button for channels. Search for CNBC TV18 and hit subscribe. You will get all the necessary updates right on your WhatsApp feed. You can also catch CNBC TV18 on all other social media platforms, including Facebook, X, Threads, Instagram, YouTube, and JioCinema.
This Diwali, New Hawkins.